All right, welcome back to Tri-City Sports Now. By the way, Panthers fans, it looks like you're going to be needing a new defensive coordinator. Steve Wilkes, who was interviewing for the Titans job, it shows Mike Vrabel. Instead, it looks like the Arizona Cardinals, who wanted, originally it looked like Mike Munchak. Munchak, the former Titans coach, who is now the offensive line coach of the Steelers, said, I don't want to interview a second time at Arizona. I'd rather be the offensive line coach of the Steelers, evidently. And so they went out, and it looks like Steve Wilkes, they're very close, it says, to hiring him to be the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. All right. A lot of talk about the Cardinal. I mean, it used to be such a horrible organization. I was talking about, bad organizations and all that. A lot of talk that with Michael Bidwell, instead of Bid or Stormy Bidwell in charge, from historically, the Cardinals are just a much improved organization. Doesn't do a whole lot for the people of St. Louis or Chicago now, does it? But, still. Wanted to also point out, I'm going to get to Jalen Young. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him in our next segment. He was a 4-star receiver, and I always talk about this. I guess it's automatic that I preface this. Hold on to going crazy about recruiting rankings. I mean, it's just like where I was telling you that before, Keller Christ, transfer, Tennessee might be able to get Keller Christ, a grad transfer from Stanford. Looks like they might be going more to a drop back orientation. Here we go. Experienced quarterback guy, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions at Stanford in his career. Nice pickup maybe if you can get him. Be real good. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to hear that in 2014 he was the number 3 rated drop back passer. That's irrelevant now. Absolutely irrelevant. You know how relevant it is? The Vols that year had the number 5 recruiting class. That's how relevant it is. I mean, what does it mean by now? Obviously, the team with the best recruiting class, I would say, 4 years ago was Alabama, wouldn't you? They just won the national championship. And I've covered recruiting. I've written for Rivals, and for that matter, Scout. I know the deal. I know the business. And that's one of the reasons why, I just, what does it mean? At the end of the day, yes, it's a positive sign for, say, the Georgia Bulldogs that they have the number 1 recruiting ranking. Yes, it's a positive sign. That Tennessee, that was during the head coaching search, their recruiting class had gone all the way down to number 61 in the rankings. We're up to, last I checked, it was 15. It may even be higher than that. I mean, Jalen Young certainly is going to help him out since he has signed with the Vols over Florida State. Okay. But, please, we don't know if Jalen Young's going to catch a pass or not. I've never been big on that sort of I've never been big on that. Never. Ever. Well, one of the things here as we look at in Tri-City Sports Now, I have been looking a little bit, what do we have here? I was going through some of the highlights they have, and they have James Neal with the Vegas Golden Knights showing a second power play goal. I could play and all that, something to play. Former Predator right there, doing quite well. I want to go back to the championship games in the Super Bowl. Again, the Ben Franklin Bowl, maybe you call it. What do you think? Boston and Philly? Are you going to bring loaves of bread with you? No. I'm trying to think of other Boston and Philly. Let's see here. Dr. J played for he was Amherst. He played at Massachusetts, and then he played for the Sixers, I guess, right? So I'm trying to think. Any Boston College guys play for the Eagles? Any Temple guys play for the Patriots? I'm sure I can come up with some here as we can go on, I imagine. But, no, we mentioned a little bit some of the class comments of Case Keenum. Vikings have their work cut out for them on who their quarterback should be. I don't know that I would shy away from Keenum. I know that supposedly it's free agent and just, everybody's a free agent. Sam Bradford, Case Keenum, Bridgewater, all of these guys. You got to figure it'd either be Bradford or Keenum. But to me, Keenum, despite the egg that he laid in the NFC Championship game, he's got to be the guy that I think you look for. First of all, I think he'd probably be the most economical, and I know that maybe you should not be thinking on the cheap when you're trying to win a championship. I get that. But I got to tell you something, nothing against, Bradford or anything, but I like what I've seen out of Keenum, and I like what he did at the University of Houston, and I think that's the way that I would go. Just saying there, I liked his classy comments about rooting for Nick Foles. And by the way, about that less than stellar effort with only 7 points and nothing after the first drive of the game or so, well, Doug Peterson, the Eagles coach, does say that his defense is a little underappreciated.
It's a great defense, one of the best, if not the top defenses in the league, and they proved it again tonight. And sometimes they don't get enough credit, but you know what? Those guys in that dressing room, they know, they understand. We know as coaches, and hats off to Jim Schwartz too for the schemes and the plays and the defenses and everything that he puts together. But yeah, it's a great group. Probably not getting enough credit.
Okay. Sure, he's going to the Super Bowl, he's going to be praised. By the way, did you see, did you see people in Philly celebrating on the streets? Okay, that's good. I saw one man shirtless wearing a mask of an eagle. Like, I mean, you've got to look at that. We might try to put this up on our Facebook page, our 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities Facebook page, if I could see this. Imagine, the only thing I can possibly compare this to is the old horror movie Motel Hell. If anyone, and Rory Calhoun, the chainsaw fight scene with the pig head on Rory Calhoun's character, if you can recall that one. That's about the only thing. It was like somebody with half of a furry costume. I mean, Swoop had the body had been decapitated, and they just put it on. This man, was running around Chestnut Street, just with an eagle head on and no shirt. Oh, this is Philly. I do remember watching Cops one day and seeing a naked man trying to rob a store on Cops. So, the man running around Chestnut Street or Market or wherever it was wearing nothing but an eagle's head. I mean, an actual, think what Swoop, the mascot, has, And no shirt, running around in January in Philadelphia. There you go. The Eagles have won the Super Bowl, or going to the Super Bowl. They've never won the Super Bowl, and they're 5.5-point dogs now. But that was one that, you sort of said, this is everything that's right with sports and everything that's wrong with Philly. That's... Excuse me. Oh, I don't know. Let him have his moment. Maybe it isn't wrong with Tri-City Sports now. The worst thing, like I said before, if the worst thing about this is that you do have perhaps the two most unlikable fan bases. I don't know. There's some people that would argue. I know Steelers fans can get a little arrogant, and the other fan bases that I think kind of are arrogant here are, and I've always felt this, is rooting for a team that you're not geographically aligned with, or that either you're from there or you live there now or something like that. I remember Maxim magazine, I think, or was it FHM? One of the lad mags once said, who are the 10 most annoying fans in the world, or 10 most annoying people in the world, and they came up, one of them was, number 7 was Dallas Cowboys fan living in Connecticut. And that kind of, that did kind of, anyway. What is the tie there? At least around here you've got Jason Witten, but, yeah, sort of like, okay, what was the tie there again with you? Again, you like to watch them on TV. Okay, yeah, that's part of the local culture, sure, you know. And that does get to be the annoying fan base, but yeah, when you're talking about Boston pretentiousness and Philly arrogance, and I'm being a little kind when I say that, and that's who meets in the Super Bowl again, it's sort of like, well, who do we root for again? Do we want to see just this incredible run and dynasty with the Patriots? Is that it? I mean, or do we just want to see, you know, the starving city, Philly, that hasn't won it since 1960, since Norm Van Brocklin was quarterbacking, you know, and I mean, you know, since Chuck Bednarik was laying on Boyd Dowler and all that, since Dick LeBeau was in his second year in the NFL? Do we want to see that? And then finally ending the drought. Is that what we want to see? You know, I don't know. Or do we want to see, you know, Brady be even more immortal in all this? You know. Speaking of Brady, Doug Peterson happens to think that his quarterback, Nick Foles, is everything.
All week he's been calm, he's been confident, he's been energetic. I mean, he's everything we knew he was, and he's been that way now for 2 weeks, and it's showing on the field.
Well, I said this before. I really think that Nick Foles is not the quarterback of the future for the Eagles. That's going to be Carson Wentz, but he has made some handsome trade bait for a team that needs a quarterback. Could that be? I'm curious, you know, about Blake Bortles, because a lot of people thought that Bortles played well enough to beat New England. I guess that the final fourth down pass, the defensive back had just extraordinary ball skills deflecting the ball away. But I will say this, one thing that I looked at that game was James Harrison getting the sack at the end. And yeah, I said this at the start of the show, and I got to say this again. How bad does Mike Tomlin look now? And I understand coaches don't like teams getting old, but remember Billson rule of sports number 18, a team needs to take care of its legends. James Harrison is a Steelers legend. 5 years ago, Tomlin was trying to grease the skids for him. Went to Cincinnati, came back. Oh, you still do have some football. And then, tries to grease the skids for him again. Now New England picks him up, and what does he do? He comes up with the sack that puts the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And then you have LeGarrette Blount, running back, who absolutely walked all over Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, got cut, then got picked up by Bill Belichick. He didn't walk over Bill Belichick, won the Super Bowl there, has now been, and what is it? 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. Now he's with the Eagles. Now he's their leading rusher. Meanwhile, Tomlin's quarterback says, if you franchise me, I'm going to retire. Do you get the sense of the inmates running the asylum in Pittsburgh? And maybe, just maybe, and this is one of the things here, that's one of the reasons why the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. Take nothing away from Brady. Take nothing away, Amendola, I love him as a possession receiver. Coming back from, the multiple point deficits, take nothing away. But man, you want to talk about just, the team you got to beat to get there, really. And they did. They, on December 15th, they had to beat them. The team you got to really be ranked ahead of. And they just, more talent, but not getting their ducks in a row. Anyhow, that's the way that I've seen it. And I look at this and I see that, Blount on the Eagles, their leading rusher. Now James Harrison, the top pass rusher on the Patriots. What's going on here? You're giving the players that other teams can win the Super Bowl with, but you're not winning the Super Bowl yourself. And you're allowing your rivals to have a greater legacy than you are in terms of a franchise. That's the way that I see it. And I think that needs to be mentioned in all of this Super Bowl talk. Let's see here. We have some other thing coming up. Like I said, this week we will be having, ETSU will be playing Mercer, and Jordan Strawberry, who is the son of Darryl Strawberry, guard. This will be his last appearance in Johnson City. So Wednesday night, that's something to check out. Darryl Strawberry, I mentioned this last year when Mercer was playing ETSU. His professional baseball career actually did begin in Kingsport, on the very first Kingsport Mets team. That was back in 1980. From what I understand, he was very happy to be, as I think all players are, to be elevated up the chain. But no, there's a little bit on Mercer, a little bit of a Tri-Cities tie, if you will, at least family tie, in that game. So we will check and see what comes out. Anyway, by the way, before I go, I do want to say, of course, the news with the Patriots was Tom Brady's injury. And for that matter, I thought the come-out player, although he's been around for a while, in that game was Danny Amendola. Bill Belichick will tell us what he thought of their efforts when we come back. It's Tri-City Sports Now.
Quick Stop Market.
Run in when you run out with great deals on your favorite